Hi everyone, and welcome to the Soul Illumination Reading for the sign of Gemini. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for Soul Illumination. So hi everyone and welcome. This is going to be a reading that's going to be taking a look at what your soul would most like to illuminate for you at this time. So I'll be pulling some initial cards here. We're going to be looking at an area of focus that your soul or your spirit would like to highlight for you. We'll dive a little deeper into looking at a block or a challenge in that area, advice from spirit as to how to overcome that block, and then we'll look at a level of abundance or spiritual growth that wants to come in for you on the other side. So Gemini, I hope you all have had a great start to the year. January is almost over as I film this. We are heading into a fast moving month of February, and I hope you can feel that energetic shift. We are soon going to be having Jupiter enter your sign for the year, and I'm sure many of you are going to feel that. Jupiter is an expansive energy, and it's one where for you guys, what you focus on can really expand and grow. So I'll be curious to see how that affects all of us, as everybody has Gemini in some place in their chart. So everyone will be feeling that shift of Jupiter in their own way, but you specifically, Gemini, will be feeling it in a more pronounced way. Okay, so we have the Empress. This is interesting. This is the same card that came out actually for, I believe it was Capricorn when I filmed theirs. So you may have a Capricorn in your life. You may have a strong Capricorn placement in your chart. Or you could just be sitting with the same beautiful creative energy that Capricorn was. Now the Empress is, this card really sums up the human's potential for creation, meaning this is our ability for us to be able to hold space for what we would like to create or bring into our life experience. It can also speak to just simply creativity. That can be a creative art project. It could be literally giving birth to a child. It could be wanting to hold space for a grander vision for your future self. But in any regard, it's just beautiful sitting energy where you are directly connecting to, I feel, source or spirit. Because when we connect to our own creativity, we are connecting to how source spirit directly channels through us. That's why we all have an individual creative ability to express ourselves in this world. That's kind of what creates the individual component to our experience. Now, in your external environment, you have the Queen of Wands. Beautiful energy. It's Aries energy, which is very much in alignment with the energy of what's happening right now. We have the north nodes of the moon that have just shifted into Aries with the south node in Libra. And so we are all feeling this push to really embrace what the Queen of Wands represents, which is the individual who shows up fully as their authentic self. There's a sense of owning the I within and prioritizing that. But there's also a sense here of really owning that in a way that is not, let's say, over the top in other people's face, but it's a sense of showing up fully as yourself without trying to hide or dim certain aspects of the self. When this element comes up, or when this card comes up as well, the phrase blooming where you're planted always comes to mind, because she is someone who understands that concept. She holds the wand of her passion and her unique ability to take action. And she is sitting in a desert landscape holding a sunflower. And what that represents is her ability to literally grow flowers in a barren landscape if she so chooses through her own ability. So there's always that sense of kind of wherever you are, there you are. And so she makes that decision to simply show up as herself no matter where she is. And she is able to create for herself the experience she's looking for through doing so, through showing up authentically. Now, your main underlying energy is strength, underscored by the Four of Pentacles and Temperance. Now, what's interesting with strength coming in is I often see this card come in with the Empress because there's often a sense of when we are having that push to create or that push to hold space for something new, it does take courage. There's that sense of wondering if we can have the patience to wait for what we want to have come in. Or do we have the strength to share with others, to show up? So the Queen of Wands is what your spirit is highlighting for you. There's a sense here of really pushing you, Gemini, to show up fully as yourself. And yeah, that's going to take strength, because underneath here with the Four of Pentacles, there's a sense here of holding back a little bit. The Four of Pentacles is when we are clinging to what we have in the physical. And this doesn't always have to be money or physical possessions. This could be literally being stingy with our time, where we don't want to commit to hanging out with certain people, or maybe donating our time to a cause, or dedicating some time in our life, carving out a space to maybe start a new creative project, something like that, where we're kind of just holding on to what is. And there's a sense with Temperance that when Temperance comes in, it's showing us that the time is now to take what we've already learned to this point and use what we have in a new way. Temperance teaches us that we can take two aspects of our life experience and bring them together to create something completely new. There's an alchemy level, or an alchemy energy to the Temperance card. Now, for me, there's also an angelic timing quality to the Temperance card as well. That's saying the time is now to take your gifts, or take what you have done up to this point, and it's time to pull out a few new moves. But I think for some of you, that's a little scary. There's a sense of kind of clinging to what is, what has been, what has provided you with a certain level of security. And now you're being pushed. You're being pushed to create. You're being pushed to show up. And again, it's not about showing off, it's about showing up fully so that people see who you are. And that's what attracts the right circumstances, the right people, the energy towards you that allows you to bloom wherever you're planted. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to pull some additional cards here to take a look at the challenge. We'll look at the advice from Spirit, and then we'll look at what wants to come in for you on a level of abundance, Gemini. What does Gemini need to know for the month ahead here? Okay. What's interesting too is because you have two feminine, the Empress and the Queen of Wands, two very powerful feminine energies here. And feminine energy is interesting because it is most potent and most powerful when it is ready to receive instead of ready to initiate. So when we think about the power of the Queen of Wands, she has almost that element of the witch archetype, that she appears to be the individual who can make flowers grow in a barren landscape, but often is not just through her sheer willpower of initiation. It is through her ability to receive from perhaps guidance from her internal spiritual connection, saying, hey, go here versus here. But it could also be the people that she draws towards her, the circumstances that come her way as she shows up. She could be the person who goes around and says, I love flowers. I am the individual who just can't live without sunflowers in my life in some capacity. And someone pops up out of the blue and is like, overhears that conversation. And they're the ones that say, well, then come this way because I actually have a unique experience for you. There's an individual who's learned how to grow sunflowers in the desert, and they're willing to teach you how to do that. That's how the Queen of Wands brings to her the ability to truly bloom wherever she's planted. There's a sense of understanding your connection to others and the why behind why it's so important to show up fully as yourself and to not hide anything. Okay, so we have the Four of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles. This is your main challenge here. And I think for some of you, there's a lot of review going on. There's almost a sense of going within, maybe meditating. There's a sense too of maybe rest or rejuvenation, or maybe you're just kind of taking some time off to really take a look at the wounds of the past, to look at how far you've come, where you are now. The Four of Swords really speaks to finding your current truth amidst the review of the pain of the past. So things that might not have gone right, people who might have hurt you, and realizing that we can kind of put those to rest and what is the clarity of what you know about yourself when you kind of have that point of mental rest and reflection and contemplation. And for many of you, there's a sense of contemplating around the topic of the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles it can be looked at as our worldly possessions. It could be a big ticket item like a home and all the possessions you have physically. It can represent a higher ideal of that, the legacy that we ultimately want to achieve for ourselves in the physical, the inheritance we want to pass on to the next generation, the novel we want everybody for hundreds of years from this point to read, something along those lines. That it can really speak to wealth, but wealth in not only a very much on a smaller scale of what you have, but it can also speak to wealth in what you pass on. So I think there's a sense here of really looking at that for many of you, of looking at what that represents for you, looking at the truth of what you want to work towards, the truth of what does home or legacy or your ultimate experience look like. And at the heart of your reading, you have the Hanged Man, which is what Spirit's asking you really to embrace, to be able to kind of, I think, come out of this Four of Swords. Because you have the Four of Swords here, and then you have the Four of Pentacles again coming up here as your last card. And with the Four of Swords and the Four of Pentacles, there's a very clear picture of someone who is waiting, holding. It could be a sense of healing as well. You might be recovering from something. You might be biding your time because, again, you have to kind of rest or rejuvenate or recover from something that's happened. But there's also a sense of it's time to shine. It's time to come out. It's time to come out of that hiding. Because with the Hanged Man, this says that, yes, you probably have been in a kind of holding pattern. The Hanged Man can be a forced pause from the universe that has maybe delayed something from happening, delayed something from expanding. And it's also that you have a change in perspective before you move on. And for many of you, there could be this change of perspective that's finally coming in. That's like the aha moment of, okay, this is the future I see for myself, or this is the legacy I want. And I'm ready to go out there and invest in it, or I'm ready to go out there and we'll see what wants to come in. Because on the other side, we have the Hermit. Now, the Hermit's also a card of the individual who has gone within, who has kind of removed themselves from society and has been soul searching or soul seeking. So there's a lot of energy around really removing yourself a little bit from possibly the world, from community, from others that are very close to you. And I think with the Four of Pentacles and Death as your main card here, there's a beautiful chance for whatever this Hermit energy was. Now, the Hermit energy represents a Virgo energy. This is healing energy in the way that we find what we uniquely bring to the world. We are able to then put that into our lantern and let that guide us on our next steps forward. And in a way that can be of great service to the external collective, which can be very healing, both healing to us because we feel like we found our purpose, we found what we shine into the world, and we allow others to be healed by that as well because we shine that light for others to see by, not just ourselves. So for many of you, there is this sense of really, I think, having reconnected with that, and maybe in this change in perspective around what the Ten of Pentacles is for you, Gemini, there's a realization as to what you truly shine, what you bring to this world. And there's an end to the holding back. There's an end to what you've been clinging to, where maybe you've been stingy in some capacity, where you've been holding yourself back, and you're ready to come out kind of swinging. Now, with the Six of Pentacles as your secondary underlying energy, this is bringing beautiful balance and harmony into your physical experience. This is saying that what you have put in, you are receiving that return on your investment. And it could be that, again, this change in your perspective around, when I look at the Four of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles, this sometimes there can be wounding here that happens when we might have lost out on a previous cycle of abundance, meaning this could be where we are looking at, especially with the wounds of the past coming up, the truth around maybe having gone through a divorce where you lost a home or possessions, or where you might have been on a career path to a certain level and then you got laid off from a job, something along those lines where you're realizing what I thought I lost. It's almost like you're seeing it from a different perspective with the Hanged Man, of seeing that maybe that original 10 of Pentacles wasn't actually right for you. That was not part of your legacy. That was not, maybe you weren't in a place to create at that time, and you are now. And there's a chance now to say, I see why that didn't work. Because suddenly now on the other side, this is saying you had to connect with your uniqueness. You had to find your magic. You had to be pushed to go to that soul-seeking place. And you might have had to have removed yourself from the world. You might have had to have held back for a bit, and you might have had to have saved, and you might have had to have got your feet kind of on steady ground. And now there's this realization with death coming in of how you can transform the holding back into giving or into shining to bring balance into your life experience. I mean, this could even be having to spend a little something in your life to give yourself more time. You know, this could be like where maybe you've been saving and saving, and you're really focusing on saving money to have X amount in the bank by this time to retire, and you were going to have this level of a living experience, and then suddenly you realize, oh my gosh, I actually want to create something completely different for myself. What I found was that, yes, I have the ability to create the stability, but now I feel like I'm just clinging to the money that I have, and it's time for me to maybe relinquish my focus on just saving money and the realization of I need to use this now. I need to maybe invest a little bit of it to give me time. Maybe you've been working nonstop around the clock and you're like, I'd rather have time in my life now. And that's the giving of the investment. You know, you're going to sacrifice a little bit of your savings to bring a sense of extra time in your life. And that's the Six of Pentacles. That's just an example. So I'm going to pull some clarifiers here. So when we're thinking back on the energy of the Queen of Wands, because that's really what your soul is highlighting for you now, is really saying embrace this energy to be seen. There's a quality here of having to have needed to at some point have to connect with the Hermit energy. What do you love? What do you uniquely bring? What do you shine into the world? Because that's what she does. She shines that out into the her life experience. And I think for many of you, there's this beautiful realization of what that is. But first, you kind of have to come out of this healing process or this reflection period. And again, it could have come at a great loss to you. You might have lost something in the past, but now it's saying, instead of clinging to what little you have, now this could actually be where, let's say you had lost something in the past and you had to kind of build yourself back up to a certain level of stability. Then instead of just clinging to that level of stability, there's a sense now of opening yourself up to a much larger perspective of what you want to create for yourself. Okay, so we have the King of Coins, or the King of Pentacles, highlighting the Four of Swords. This is Taurus energy. It could be for those of you who this is relationship focused. It could be that you had been in a relationship with a Taurus or with a very steady earth sign, someone who is very much in the physical, very much understands what their value and time is worth. This would be somebody who's very good with their resources, very good with their finances, but is very focused on the physical. And there may be something here around wounding, around either an individual who fits that description or a Taurus specifically. It could also be wounding around having too much of a focus on the physical, where this could be the person who, because the King of Pentacles, he won't do something unless he knows he's going to get a specific return on his investment. Like, it's somebody who might not donate their time because he's not getting paid. Or it could be someone who isn't going to prioritize something that might bring this individual joy, but it's not actually bringing in anything tangible as a representation outside of just that emotional gratification. Now, with Temperance and the Hierophant, here's Temperance coming up again here. Temperance is saying the Hierophants are our belief systems, what we commit to. These can be the higher systems within our life experience, religious systems, governmental institutions, even societal institutions. And they're saying it's time now to take a look at your commitments, take a look at your beliefs. And there's a shift here. There's a change in choosing to do something different. Now, the Hierophant's also Taurus energy. So for some of you, you may actually have Taurus prominent in your chart. You may also be dealing with a Taurus right here. This is very much kind of highlighted that. But I think there's also coming through here, it's asking you, what do you believe? What do you commit to? And how are you ready to change that and bring that into your life experience outside of just your focus on the physical, on what you get as a reward in the physical? I'm getting here, which is interesting. It's almost like tempering your ability to create or your ability to, let's say, go out into the working world and be able to manifest, meaning that, yes, you can hold down a job and you can make money, or you are really great at running your household, or you're the person who is a master prioritizer, because that can also be the King of Coins, the King of Pentacles. But there's a sense here, the Hierophant of faith, of, again, our belief systems. And it's almost like tempering your ability, your mastery on some level in the physical with a new belief or with faith. And that faith is what's going to carry you through to this other side, to finally release where you've been holding yourself back. I'm feeling like this, like almost like a pent up, like energy of you're like waiting to explode in some capacity, Gemini, but like in a great, fun, wonderful, creative way. But I do feel there's kind of been like a pent up blocking of energy here. So we have the Five of Cups. Yeah, for the Ten of Pentacles. Yes, this is definitely showing regret around something that happened with this past Ten of Pentacles, or where you weren't able to achieve possibly what that Ten of Pentacles represents for you in the past. And there's the Tower. Yeah, so this could definitely be a breakup where you lost out on something. This could be where you were unexpectedly let go from a job situation. This could be where, I mean, even for yourself, it might have been that you had to walk away from something because outside circumstances came in. But there's definitely a disappointment, a past disappointment and pain. And the Tower is when something external to us came in and kind of rocked our world, had, brought the tower down. But at that time, it could have felt very jarring. It could have felt very difficult to go through, especially if it was around your Ten of Pentacles, if it was around your security, if it was around your possessions, if it was around kind of even your vision for the future. But with the Hanged Man, I think many of you are gaining a new perspective on what happened at what was ever tied up in here that you had to kind of heal yourself from. There might be this realization of how you were forced to find your own light in the darkness. Because that's what the Tower represents. It represents when we have built something up around us that at one point had protected us, but has now become something that is holding us back, that's imprisoning us. And so Spirit knocks that tower down, and we are kind of thrown into the night so that we can see our guiding star, because the Star card is the card that comes right in after the Tower. So we were able to finally remember that great dream, that hope, that guiding principle, and we're able to start charting a course again, because the Tower is when it holds us in one place. And that's where we get stagnant. And it's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to continue on a journey of life moving forward, or at least moving. When we think of linear time, it might not always be moving forward. We sometimes could be moving backwards, but at least we're moving. We're not stagnant. Now, here for the Hanged Man is the Queen of Wands. There she is. This is saying there's a new perspective on who you are, on how you want to shine. There could even be a new perspective, a change in perspective of what you shine into the world. There might be this realization of and it could come through, sometimes it can come through going through very difficult circumstances, but it can also just come from someone letting you know how they see you. And suddenly there's a realization of self-realization of, oh my gosh, I felt like I was going through all this heavy stuff, and maybe I was hiding certain parts of me in the tower because I just didn't want to be hurt again, or I was too focused on feeling like I was seen in a certain way. And suddenly there's this aha moment of, no, this is your real power. It's time to shine. And you weren't able to do that here. Whatever the circumstance represents, you weren't able to do that here. Be that in a job that you lost, be that in a relationship that you lost, be that in, fill in the blank, where somehow you kind of lost sight of that ultimate vision for yourself in the future. Now, with Justice and the Queen of Wands, I love this. This is the major rebalancing. So Justice is a major arcana version of the Six of Pentacles. There's a sense of a final, like the scales have now come into balance. And I think that that's where the shift in perspective is coming from. You realize whatever happened here, whatever loss happened here, it's being rebalanced now in this moment. So you are regaining what you might have lost in the past. Now, this could also represent with Justice, because Justice can represent the making or breaking of a contract. So with the Queen of Wands, this could literally be that you are signing a contract with an individual who represents kind of Aries or this fiery dynamic. It doesn't even have to be a fire sign. This could be someone who just very much is that individual who shows up uniquely as they are, who blooms where they're planted. And there could be, maybe you're getting married to this person and you're committing now, you're signing that contract, or you are maybe breaking a contract and it's allowing you to be free. But I think I'm getting more intuitively for most of you, this is going to be the perspective of the realization of what you lost here is what you are gaining on the other side. It is what's coming in and what's allowing you now to be more powerful, to shine more brightly. Because of, again, when we have to kind of walk through that night, we have to find the light within to shine so that we can see our way forward. And I think for many of you, you found that, yes, with Judgment and the Page of Wands. Now, for some of you, this could actually be having a child. That's what you might have discovered, the light of within you, because Judgment can speak to a fundamental change in our life. And the Page of Wands can represent the child at play. So there could be a sense of finding your direction through either having a child in your life or becoming pregnant. There could also be a sense here of whatever this fundamental change is that you went through and what you lost and kind of what you had to find within again, it changed who you were, and it allowed for you to reconnect with your playful child within and the power of that, which is so beautiful. But for many of you, this could literally be having a child with someone, either yourself or conceiving with someone else. So we have the Four of Pentacles and Death. No more holding back, Gemini. Let's see what's coming in for the Four of Pentacles and Death. The Chariot. Yep, forward movement. Getting into the chariot, whipping those horses and moving towards your final destination, the place that ultimately feels like home for you. I've had a lot of people get kind of confused as to why the chariot is associated with Cancer. And that's the main tie there, is that Cancer rules the home in astrology. And there's a sense with the chariot that where the charioteer is ultimately the map that he's using and where he's going is the final destination, is the place that is our ultimate homecoming. And that's why every so often we may kind of get out of alignment with that. We may kind of forget that we're the ones holding the reins of our life. And so when the card comes out, it says it's time to remember you hold the reins of your own life. What are you moving towards? No more holding back, Gemini. Things are moving forward for you, and it's in a way that is going to empower you because you found your light. You found your gift that you shine into this world, and it could be a fundamental change. And for some of you, it could even be working with children. If it's not about giving birth to a child, this could be literally working with children. And you're finding the power that you uniquely have to show up as your authentic self. underlying energy is the Knight of Wands. I love that. That's the energy of the spiritual adventurer. This is someone who wants to go out there and they're freedom loving, freedom seeking. They want to go out there and do what stokes their passion. It's also the energy of Sagittarius. So there is that sense of connecting with that greater idea that life is a journey, that life is about living out our passion. And it's very hard to live out our passion when we are holding ourselves close, when we are not open, when we are in this place of reflection and holding so tightly. And it's saying the return on your investment comes when you loosen your it's kind of interesting because when you think about, kind of grabbing the reins of your life, it's almost like a sense of loosening your grip on those reins. Like you've been holding those horses back from moving, and it's time to loosen your grip and have fun with the journey forward. And again, that could be because you are working with children or you're working with your inner child, and there's a sense of play, of freedom. And again, with the Six of Pentacles, I think for many of you, you're finally seeing a balance in your life and a rebalancing of whatever was lost here. It's coming full circle and you're gaining here. And in doing so, you're stepping into your full power. You're taking that North Node in Aries and you're stepping in kind of out of the shadows and into the light as you. Beautiful reading. And remember, in doing this, you are effectively, with the Empress here, you are creating your future in the present moment. Every time you choose to consciously remember you hold the reins and remember to shine at your brightest, to not hold anything back, to not dim what you've discovered about yourself, and to fully move forward with faith with the Hierophant. Okay, I'm going to pull 2 final cards here before we bring your reading to a close, Gemini. What does Gemini need to know as the last card? So we have surrender to inner peace. I love this. It says, cultivate inner peace on a daily basis. In quiet, meditative moments, focus on the stillness within and enjoy this inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily. I love that because when we think of inner peace, inner peace comes from faith. That's why a lot of people choose to focus on joining a religion to help cultivate that sense of inner peace. And the inner peace comes from faith in whatever religion or whatever practice they choose to follow. The real beauty of our life experience is that we don't have to, let's say, join a religion to cultivate that inner peace. We can cultivate faith in our experience by simply reviewing what we've gone through in life, the trials and tribulations, and to be grateful for the gifts that have come from the challenges we have faced. And when we realize with full faith that our life is set up perfectly for our spiritual growth and advancement, there's that understanding of being okay with whatever comes our way. And that's what allows us to kind of loosen that grip and get the horses moving again. Okay, I'm going to pull 1 final card before we wrap up the reading here, Gemini. Okay. What does Gemini need to know as a final? Oh, I love it. This is also a card that speaks about being at peace. So it says Eternal Now, number 12. And for many of you who watch my readings, you'll know that I think of or look at the number 12 as the God number. It has a wholeness to it that's hard for me to explain, but it does have a lot to do with my ability to see colors associated with numbers. And there's a sense, though, that it also reduces to the number 3, which is the number of creativity. It is the number of also creating life with the innocence of a child. There's, getting back to that pure creative soul within that is the child at play. that isn't worried about what other people think, isn't forecasting too far into the future. They're just enjoying the eternal now, the present moment, and the power that comes from when we are focused on the present moment and we are just at peace with what is. Okay, so I'm going to read what comes with this little book here. So it says, Eternal Now. Within you is great strength and courage. However, just because you can manage to keep going when you are drained or stressed, it doesn't mean you have to do so. You are encouraged by your higher guidance to request assistance and letting go of tension within your mind and body. You will gain energy through this release and perhaps even see things in a new and more optimistic light. That's the Hanged Man. Shifting into a more present, relaxed, and enjoyable state of being will help you overcome the past and successfully create your future. Dear one, have your thoughts become trapped in the pain of the past? Have they been drifting towards possible futures? If too much of your energy is pulled away from the present moment, you diminish the power you have to create what your heart desires. Creation doesn't happen in the past or in the future. It happens in the here and now by the choices you make in each moment. Even now, in reading this message, you are choosing to be present, to bring your energy into the eternal now, stimulating the law of attraction into action. As you relax in this moment, trusting that the past is over and the future shall be truly wonderful, you can more easily energize your dreams, visions, and heartfelt desires. The universe believes that you are deserving of a spiritual gift. To accept the gift in whatever form it takes, you will need to be present, to have enough stillness of mind to recognize it. You'll need to have enough inner peace to accept it, to take it inside where it can nourish, inspire, and heal you. The form of this gift will be perfect for you, and the way that it comes shall be perfect too. It is being orchestrated by divine timing now. It will assist you to take the next step on your soul journey successfully. Your gift might be a piece of guidance, an inner knowing that changes your outlook permanently. It might help you truly know in your heart that your divine destiny is already unfolding and your spiritual success is inevitable. It is not a question of if, only a matter of when. Your gift might be an amazing opportunity that comes out of the blue. It could be a meeting that will prove significant to your unfolding life path. It could be a new relationship or a new connection with a community. It might be a life-changing teaching, a deeply healing dream, or an actual object. Spirit is unlimited in its willingness and ability to give to you. You need only be open to receive, and that's getting into that feminine energy here. And you do so by bringing yourself back to the present moment. Stillness of mind and inner peace are only possible when you are present in the eternal now. This is where you will find what you are seeking. So let the past be done. Allow the future to take care of itself. Center your awareness in this moment. You are safe. You are breathing gently now. You are here where you belong at exactly the right time. All things serve your greater good. Nothing is wrong. You are doing a fantastic job. All is in process. In this moment, there is just the peace and comfort of the eternal now. Relax, trust, be nourished. If you have been worrying about the past or the future, this oracle comes with guidance to let it be. All is working out just as it is meant to. Even the things you don't quite understand or find hard to accept, in time you will know the perfection of all that is happening in your life. You'll feel so lucky, blessed, grateful, and truly loved. For now, however, it is enough to just be here and breathe. Beautiful. I will leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful month ahead, as well as a wonderful rest of your day. If you'd like to book a personal reading to dive a little deeper into an area that could use some light illumination and clarity, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, I will see you all in your next illumination reading. Bye, Gemini.